That's a 105-millimeter split-trailed howitzer that served in the Marine Corps from 1942 all the way to 1981. And finally, from 1942 also to 1949, African Americans trained in an area known as Montford Point, right here on the North Carolina coast. They faced the challenges of segregation and the rigors of tough training and went on to succeed as Marines in World War II, Korea, and Vietnam. Staff Sergeant Josh Hauser returns now with their story.
Thank you, Matt. Now, they came to Montford Point because more than anything, they just wanted to be Marines. And we got a chance to speak with some of the men who would go on to become Montford Point Marines. These are the images of men who battled the odds for a chance to serve their nation in uniform. They were some of the first African Americans to serve in the United States Marine Corps.
The mentality of growing up, you know, the Marines Corps is always the best. And you'd see those advertised, that pretty blue uniform, that's for me.
The Marine Corps built a facility on Camp Lejeune in 1942 to train African American recruits. They called it Montford Point Camp, and in those early years during World War II, young African American men came to train at the segregated camp, hoping to serve their country. The first to enter was Howard Perry, and many more would follow. One of them was Norman Preston. He came to Montford Point in 1944 and recalls the tough, relentless training under the watchful eye of an all-white corps of instructors.
And in them days, you didn't walk on the base. You run. Everywhere you go, you run.
Thomas Robertson and Paul Hagan trained at Montford Point in 1946. By then, their drill instructors were also African American.
You had a tough drill instructor. He made you toe the line, and you had to do things, you know, the correct way, and you couldn't do it halfway.
Both men would go on to serve in Korea, where all of the hard training at Montford Point would pay off for Paul Hagan on a memorable day along the Korean peninsula at a place called Incheon.
Yes, it did help in combat. When I landed in Korea, September the 15th, 1950, with the 1st Marine, and they transferred many of us from our outfit supporting, that's what we're supposed to be doing, supporting the infantry, and put us in the infantry.
By now, the Marine Corps was an integrated force, and Thomas Roberson recalls his days of combat in Korea when all that mattered was leadership.
Something about the Marine Corps, once you become a 14 or a squad, everything changes. Those guys are going to stick by you come hell or high water.
Their legacy of service is now familiar to Chief Warrant Officer James Averhart, an active duty Marine and current president of the Montford Point Marines Association.
It shows how the Marine Corps is set up, you know, even back in those days, that you're given an opportunity, you're taught leadership, and then you're put in a position and you perform.
The Montford Point Marines, still with us today, hope that their struggle to serve and to lead as Marines will be an inspiration to all who serve in today's Corps. More than 20,000 African Americans wound up training at Montford Point.
Thanks again, Staff Sergeant. Great story.